A creator got 47 million views. They were paid $143. Wait, and the person whose job it was to understand why that number is both completely normal and completely insane, that person is called a social media manager. And nobody actually agrees on what that means. That's where this gets strange. The official title exists at Fortune 500s and at a bakery in rural Ohio with 800 followers and very ambitious ideas about their Instagram presence. Same title, wildly different jobs. The job description, if you wrote it honestly, would take 4 pages and still miss the part where they're expected to understand copyright law, color theory, crisis communications, and why a duck wearing a hat got 14 million views while their own content got 200 impressions. So what created the conditions where this job became necessary, and what happened to those conditions repeatedly until the job became something the original people who invented it wouldn't recognize? Start with 2008 because that's where the pressure started building. Facebook had roughly 100 million active users. Instagram didn't exist. TikTok was almost a decade away. Brands had marketing departments, PR agencies, line items for television and print. The idea that a company needed someone whose entire job was platform presence management wasn't obvious yet. Actually, no, the idea existed, it just wasn't taken seriously. Facebook crossed 1 billion users in October 2012, and brands had figured out that the platform was a direct channel to customers in a way television ads weren't. A commercial talked at people. A Facebook page could, in theory, talk with them. The problem, nobody in the marketing department wanted to answer comments at 11 p.m. on a Saturday when someone posted they found a bone in their boneless chicken. Somebody had to watch the feed. Somebody had to decide when a comment was a PR crisis in embryo and when it was just a disgruntled person who needed a coupon code. That somebody became the social media manager. Early job postings from 2010 to 2012 are a time capsule of confused expectations. One listing archived at Syracuse University must understand Facebook and Twitter, creative writing skills a plus, graphic design preferred but not required. Compensation, $35,000 to $40,000. Entry-level administrative work that happened to involve computers, as if having a personal Instagram was meaningful preparation for managing a brand's public-facing digital presence. That assumption would age very poorly, very quickly. Here's the mechanism nobody explained to those early hires. The platforms were not static. They were, and this is the part that defines everything about this role, actively incentivized to change in ways that would make whatever strategy you'd built last quarter obsolete. Not because the platforms were chaotic, because they were rational. Their economics demanded it. The Facebook organic reach collapse is the cleanest case study. In 2012, when a brand posted on their Facebook page, somewhere between 12 and 16% of followers would see it. No payment, just because they'd followed the page. By 2014, that number had dropped to approximately 6%. By 2016, some analyses were putting it between 1 and 2%. For large pages, over 500,000 followers, estimated organic reach hovering around 2%, which means a brand with 500,000 followers might reliably reach 10,000 of them with an organic post. You'd think someone would have fixed that. They didn't. The fix was the problem. Every strategy built around organic Facebook growth between 2010 and 2013, every community-building investment, every follower acquisition campaign was being systematically devalued by Facebook's own algorithm decisions, made, as Meta's subsequent documentation and congressional testimony would clarify, largely to push brands toward paid promotion. The audience you spent 2 years building, you can now pay to reach it. The social media manager, who'd spent 2 years growing an audience to 200,000 followers, had to explain to their boss why those followers weren't seeing anything, and simultaneously learn Facebook's paid promotion system, because the organic strategy was no longer a strategy. The job had just expanded. Title? Unchanged. Salary? Unchanged. This pattern would repeat on every platform. It's basically the defining feature of the role across the entire decade. Instagram's algorithm shift in 2016, chronological feed to ranked content, is the same story. Engagement rate became the currency overnight. Playbooks built around post at this time, get reach stopped working. New playbooks had to be built from scratch while also managing day-to-day posting, while also usually being paid the same amount as before. Then TikTok. This is where the job description broke in a way that hasn't really been repaired. TikTok's For You page mechanics, content served to non-followers based on the platform's read of individual interest signals, introduced something that hadn't existed at meaningful scale before. A brand new account with 0 followers could produce a single piece of content and reach 500,000 people, which sounds like a gift. The CPM implications were immediately complicated. The Creator Fund, positioned as creator compensation, functioned as, let's say, a complicated arrangement. Creators reported earnings as low as 2 to 4 cents per thousand views. 47 million views, documented in creator testimonials across the trade press, generating $143 in payouts. $143. The Creator Fund wasn't primarily a compensation mechanism. It was an acquisition tool. Get creators creating, get content on platform, grow platform. Creator earnings were secondary to that objective. A brand's social media manager navigating TikTok had to understand all of that, not just format mechanics, the underlying platform economics, because it directly affected whether TikTok was worth the resource allocation their CMO was asking them to justify. Why are we on TikTok? Sounds like a simple question. The answer references CPM, reach demographics, competitive positioning, and geopolitical uncertainty around the platform's regulatory status in Western markets. That's the job. All of it, simultaneously. Okay, so what does the actual daily work look like? Industry surveys are consistent. Content creation and adaptation, 25 to 35% of working time. Community management, comments, DMs, mentions, another 20 to 25%. Analytics and reporting, 15 to 20%. Strategy and planning, 10 to 15%. Everything else, crisis response, influence or coordination, internal communication, and the category every social media manager recognizes as things that weren't supposed to happen today. In 2012, content creation meant scheduling a post with copy and a stock photo. In 2025, it means producing or overseeing short-form video, long-form video, carousels, stories, reels, and increasingly the expectation to appear on camera yourself. The skill set is legitimately multidisciplinary: video production, copywriting, art direction, SEO, trend identification before something trends. And then there's community management, which is where the emotional labor lives. A 2023 study in Computers and Human Behavior found elevated burnout markers correlated with always-on availability expectations combined with emotionally charged audience interaction. Platforms don't observe business hours. A negative viral moment at 2 a.m. on a Sunday, the social media manager is expected to respond, regardless of hour. Sprout Social 2024 reported 63% reported difficulty disconnecting outside working hours. 42% described their workload as unsustainable. Same period, brands demanding more platforms, more formats, more analytical depth, while the post-2022 layoff cycle concentrated that work into fewer people. Here's where the salary data should probably make more sense than it does. LinkedIn puts median social media manager compensation nationally around $65,000 to $75,000. Bureau of Labor Statistics doesn't have a dedicated category. It folds into advertising, promotions, and marketing managers. 5.17 billion social media users worldwide per Data Reportal 2024. Brands trying to reach subsets of those people across platforms with different algorithms,
different content formats, different ad auction systems, different community norms. The social media manager is the person at the intersection of all of that at $65,000 to $75,000 a year. The title has also become too broad to be meaningfully descriptive. The person managing TikTok creative strategy is doing a functionally different job than the person managing LinkedIn content. Different algorithm mechanics, different audience behavior, different success metrics, same title. Larger organizations are moving towards specialization, platform-specific roles, community managers separated from content managers. But for most brands, the social media manager is still the person doing all of it. TikTok and LinkedIn and Instagram and community and analytics and crisis response and the monthly reporting deck. Strategist, creator, data analyst, customer service rep, copywriter, ad buyer, sometimes graphic designer, de facto PR professional when something goes sideways. The anyone who uses social media can manage social media assumption, which still surfaces in entry-level postings today, is the equivalent of arguing that anyone who can drive a car can maintain one.
The AI question is where every conversation about this role eventually arrives. What AI tools have changed: content drafting speed, caption variation, basic image creation, scheduling optimization, automated reporting, efficiency gains in the production layer. What AI tools have not changed: platform-specific strategic judgment, crisis response requiring institutional context, trend identification before something trends, creative direction that's genuinely differentiated from the content every other brand using the same tool is producing. That last point is where the problem is emerging. Brands using identical prompt frameworks are producing content that reads identically, which means it reads like no one in particular. The algo can't reward what it can't distinguish. The platforms would change again. A platform that doesn't exist yet will be relevant in 24 months. That's been true for 15 years. So, what is a social media manager? Technically, the professional responsible for planning, executing, and optimizing a brand's presence across social media platforms: content strategy, community management, paid amplification, performance analytics. Actually, the person who gets blamed when the algorithm changes, credited when something goes viral, asked to explain platform economics to executives who last used Facebook in 2014, and expected to do all of that in real time while also scheduling next week's content, responding to a complaint in the DMs, and preparing the monthly report. Both definitions are accurate. The gap between them is the job. That gap has been the defining feature of the role since the first person sat down in front of a dashboard in 2011 or 2012, wondering exactly what they were supposed to do next. The platforms evolved, the tools evolved, the expectations evolved, the salary evolved more slowly than any of those things. The social media manager is the practitioner inside the machine, navigating the friction between why people use these platforms and how these platforms monetize that usage every single day. That friction isn't going away, which means the job isn't going away either. It's just going to keep changing, probably faster than the job descriptions do.